I'm here today. It's Peter Cook interviewing a fellow across the Atlantic in Miami, Steve Peer. He's produced an album on his own, which is really called Steve's Theme Park. Should be in the Guinness Book of Records, but they don't have one in America. But
it's hot. It's hot.
It's hot. Hello, Steve.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Wherever we are. Now, this album is a collaboration of people all around the world. Tell me how it came about.
Well, it started in February 2020. And the reason I make note of that is because the pandemic started in March 2020. And I just want to make it absolutely clear. This is not a pandemic inspired effort. Not that that would matter, but there's a lot of those. So this is a month before that. I was at a band rehearsal with my working band. And we had already done 2 albums. And we were getting a little, we needed something to kind of pump us up. So I said at rehearsal, hey guys, I've got a bunch of new songs, all written, all arranged, ready to go. All we got to do is record them. How do you feel about that? Well, it was like cricket. So pretty much the band wasn't interested, and there were a couple of comments, and my feelings were hurt, but we continued on with practice, and we continued, being a working band, and everything was fine and dandy. But I was determined to do these songs. I mean, I'd kind of put them together and figured, well, I could come up with something. I'm only a drummer and kind of a butcher guitar player. I mean, that's basically what I compose stuff on. And I said, I know I can find people. So the first person I thought of, who I didn't even really know, was a guy I remember from the old days at CBGB's, Tommy Frenzy from the Tough Darts. Now, I don't know why he kind of dawned on me. Maybe I'd seen on social media that he was still active and doing stuff. And we're sort of from the same generation. So I just took a chance. I sent him a little message, what I was up to, maybe a paragraph. Boom, 45 minutes later, he gave me a call and was like, well, what are you up to, man? I don't really remember you. I remember your band, kind of. I said, Tommy, we did like tons of shows together at CBGB's, Talking Heads, this, that, and the other thing. Nah, I definitely don't remember you. The band sounds a little familiar. Anyway, I got over that too. I'd been, you get pretty tough, right, Peter? At our stage of the game. Anyway, he was willing to cooperate, and bingo bango, off we went. Then there was this guy in the UK who is a Bill Nelson Red Noise fan, and somehow we started communicating on social media. Peter Cook, maybe you know him. Anyway,
no.
It just people started to kind of come out of the woodwork a little bit. Then the pandemic did hit, and then I started to realize that people were getting a little squirrely and were willing to do stuff. So I went in and recorded all the drum tracks. I had these songs really arranged in my head. I went and recorded the drum tracks at my buddy's studio, Jeff Crossman's Engine Room right here in town. And I just had to set up a music stand, write down, intro, verse, chorus, guitar break, blow up some dynamite, whatever. I had it all sequenced out and just sang the songs in my head and played them. And then when I felt one song was, pretty much ready to go, I sat here on my couch, did a little video, usually in my underwear, pajamas, kind of a scary sight. And I would send those videos to various people to kind of lay down a guitar part or a bass part.
I do remember some of those videos.
I know. I bet you remember some of those underwear and pajama videos.
I have, of course, sent them on to the police for forensic investigation.
Well, it was the best I could do. So the drum tracks are always great, but the guitar tracks with my vocals were pretty scary and should have been sent to the police. You're right. So that's how sort of the process on every song would pretty much go. And you were kind enough to join on, I think 2, 3, maybe 4 of the tracks.
No, you mentioned pandemic, but I mean, the other thing about assembling an album with maybe 30 to 40 people, it's rather than a pandemic, it's pandemonium, isn't it? And Jeff Crossman must have lost a lot of hair during the mixing process.
Yeah. Especially because it's not like we decided, let's just do 2 or 3 songs and just do something that's sort of cute. It was like, no, I have an album's worth of material here. We're going to do it all. So you're right. From Jeff's point of view, I mean, it was pretty hairy, scary sort of prospect to do it. But obviously, we got it done. There'd be times where, he was really at his wit's end, and, we would always say, why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? And then we also finally agreed to stop asking that question.
Well,
Don't ask
I
why.
do remember. I do remember actually when you first contacted me. I thought I was just making a track with you just for fun. I had no idea there were these other 30 or 40 people in. And then he said, "Oh, could you do another one?" And I sort of thought, "Oh, okay." But the penny hadn't dropped that you were somehow making an album, and certainly not that you were involving all these people all over the world until much, much later, actually.
Yeah, and that's a good point. As someone like yourself who is involved, and thank you very much for your contributions, which are, fabulous. Most of you weren't really aware of each other. Uh, I never really thought to say, "Hey, Peter, this is Joe. Hey, Joe, this is Gemma." I never thought of doing those sort of intros. I just, I had enough craziness just gathering stems and stuff from you folks and keeping that all together, let alone,
Mm.
sort of having a cyber party with 40 of us. So yeah, that was an unintentional secret.
Yeah, no, that was very interesting. As I say, it sort of emerged from me. I thought I was just filling in a couple of guitar parts for you. It was the beginning of this. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on to the album. So you've got a wide range of tracks. I think it is 30 or 40 people on the album. It's quite a
Yeah, there's 38, including you and me.
yeah. Well, I mean, pick out a few stories for some of the songs that are on the album, and
Yeah, sure. No, let's do that. See if we can get people sort of intrigued as to what we were up to. Well,
Mm.
the opening track, which actually was the first song that I composed for this collection of tunes, is called Dandy Man. It's pretty much inspired by my appreciation for the Kinks and that sort of thing. Hence the title Dandy Man. And so it was just a little ditty and just kind of melodic and kind of cute, and was really borrowed from the days of the early Kinks. And then I started to kind of think, okay, I need a good intro. What's a good intro? Well, I think the intro to Pretty Vacant by the Sex Pistols is pretty good, and I think I could tag that on. And I think that guy I met over in the UK there on social media, Peter Cook, I think he could nail that pretty nicely. And I don't think he'd have any problem borrowing that lick. And you did a great job borrowing that lick. And that's how the album opens. It opens with that Pretty Vacant riff, and then it goes right into that kink kind of a thing, and just tells a story I think that we can all sort of relate to at this stage of our careers, where we've all kind of settled into life, and we still love rock and roll and all that sort of stuff. And if you ask around, we all have pretty interesting stories. As it says in the song Dandy Man, he may have been someone in the day, and somebody shouts out during the song, "Hey, did he play with David Bowie?" And it's all this kind of mystique and all these funny stories that everybody on this record, who's like over 40, we have a lot of young people on the album, which is great, who are between the ages of 15 and 25. They don't know what's going on. But all of us, kind of veterans, have these sort of stories, these encounters that we've had with people we've played with, much like yourself, and then the connection is just, well, actually, I'll pause for a second here, pause by keeping on talking, that a buddy of mine, James Mastro, who I knew from my early days in Jersey, who plays with Ian Hunter at the moment, and he was in a band called the Bongos in the '80s. And I sent him the record. He goes, "Well, the album, wow, it's fantastic. It's just loaded with name dropping and cussing, And the name dropping is sort of unintentional. It really is, but because we've all been around so much, we've all met so many people and done so many things with different people. So the name dropping, might seem, a little cheesy, but it's just because, we've all kind of run in all different circles. And the cussing is just for fun. The cussing is just my nod to the Foo Fighters.
And I used to work for a guy in pharmaceuticals called Professor Trevor Jones, and he's 82 now, or 80, I think, and he's still on the bottom of his email. He says, "If you have it, flaunt it."
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I did do that in the press release. And I think it's a little bit worth mentioning, just by chance, I mentioned Tommy, Tommy Frenzy, Tough Darts, but we've got people from some bands, Mod Fun, TV Toy, the bass player from Joe Jackson, who was also the bass player in Red Noise, who I played with. So yeah. So the name dropping is just for fun, but it's also just very true.
Right. Well, we'll have a quick listen to track one, and we'll be back in a moment.
Great.
So there you have it. It is Kinks inspired, but what struck me when I first sort of heard the song was how each of them does a lot of storytelling as well, and very little witticisms in it, like shouting about David Bowie. Mostly people just shout at me generally these days, but on to track two then. What else are you going to try us with?
Well, the other one that I came up with, and unfortunately it hasn't happened lately in the last 6 months, but there was a period of time, and you can you can back me on this. It seemed like every other day, like one of our rock star heroes was passing away, and like I said, it seems like the last big one. I know there's somebody passes away every day who is very important in the rock and roll business, rock and roll world that we both appreciate so much. The last big one was like Taylor Hawkins, but for a while it just seemed like every time you turned around, somebody was coming down, was coming down with something and passing away. So I wrote a song, No More Heroes. Okay, not a very creative title, I get that, and it pretty much pays tribute to dead rock stars, and also maybe to the ones who are just forgotten and may as well have died, and so I think that's kind of a peppy tune, and that one's been getting a lot of airplay and a lot of attention. So I've kind of spent some energy, really pushing that a little bit more than I maybe would have pushed something else. So yeah, No More Heroes.
Right.
Again, I hear myself scream, no way, it ain't funny, happens every day.
And some of the stuff is on video, isn't it? You ought to mention your video channel as well.
Yes, we've put together. These are not Hollywood or BBC level videos by any stretch. I mean, they're just pretty much fun, tongue in cheek. The last one we did was for a song called "Rockin' Senorita," which essentially was, except for me on drums, musically was put together by a band from Paris called Captain Storm, and they did a fantastic job. They were so kind to sing it in English instead of French, and did a great job. And the video is really adorable, really funny, really goofy, and sort of the lightest song on the whole album, without a doubt. And then we did another one for the song Chip, and that's probably like the most avant-garde film. That has like an artsy kind of feel to it. Very short little song, and your buddy there helped out with the backing vocals.
Absolutely, she fitted into this well. In fact, she recorded this in the studio here. So she's headed off to Manchester now. She's about 300 miles away, but she did a superb job.
Yeah, she did, and I would consider her one of the.
She really jumped into the lyric and the subject matter. So you said it was artsy, but it fitted her really, really well. Mm.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I would consider her one of the younger, more naive contributors to this record, not being a veteran player who's been around the block 120 times. And yeah, she really added a lot to that tune. So thank you for doing that, certainly. And
Okay. So I'd like to do a bit of shouting out now. So I want to thank Rosie Horn for her superb vocals. Also, David Bulk, who's a bass player I've played with for many, many years in jam sessions. He did a bit of bass playing on the track. So we all, after we got understood what you were doing, and you said, I need something for this, I imagine people said, I'll go and find those people. It is a great example of how networks work, I think. And finally, I'd like to get a copy of this through to Tony Michaelides, who's a colleague of mine and who I've met recently. And in case you're not familiar, Tony worked with as the record promoter for U2 and David Bowie and all kinds of people. I mean, he's from Manchester, but he lives down the road from you in Florida. So I'm going to suggest I'll fix this up afterwards, but I'll suggest you get a copy of the album through to him, actually, because I think he'd like it. And his job was promoting Bowie's album, so who knows, eh? That would
no, you're right. I mean, yeah, whether we're on record or not here, yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that has been happening. It's the connections. Again, somebody might ask, or I ask myself, once a week, why am I doing this? But I do like the connections. How else would I have met Peter Cook? Had another conversation with Tommy Frenzy. Met Gemma Parr Smith, virtually in London when she was locked in her apartment and couldn't go off and do shows or cruise ships and however she makes her living. How would I have, met, anybody here? That I think that's so important. And what's really happened in the past month is that, and I think I've always been pretty good at this, and I know you probably have been too, clearly, is new artists, young artists are contacting me and saying, wow, this is great. How'd you pull this off? And I'm like, well, okay, I pulled it off like this, but what are you doing? And just encouraging and helping them because, you and I have had our, moments or seconds, enjoying this rock and roll sort of pandemonium, as you said earlier. But these younger people can barely get started. I mean, it's just, there's 66,000 singles released every day.
Yeah. Impossible.
I mean, who am I kidding?
Yeah.
But these younger folks, I mean, it's just an avalanche, a tsunami, or whatever that they're up against.
It takes me back to a conversation I had a little while ago with someone over here. They said that in 1964 or 65, whenever it was, you needed to know 34 people in Tin Pan Alley to break a song. And if you had done the lunches and knew that had the relationships in place, you just go down, take the records down, and next week the the song is in the charts. But now you don't know who. There's not 34 people, probably 34,000, if not more, and you don't know who they are. This is one of the difficulties. It still relies on networks, but the width and breadth and depth of those networks makes it a mind-boggling task, I think, for a young artist to break through. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. I do want to do a quick fire round and some of the questions you won't know the answers to. So how many tracks are there on the album?
16.
No, I mean, how many individual tracks? No.
Oh my gosh. So if you go 16 times, let's say 10, so you're talking 160 stems at least.
Oh, so it's actually not thousands.
It's manageable. Yeah. I mean, there could be more certain songs, because people will double their vocals or they'll harmonize their vocals and that sort of stuff.
Well,
so
it's recorded. It's recorded fairly live in that respect then. So there aren't 70 tracks per song then.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So that gives it a different feel, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And now, what do you consider to be the greatest joy that's occurred during the production of this album, and what has been the greatest pain to getting it done?
Well, the greatest joy goes back to what we were just talking about, with the younger people, but it's true no matter where you live, how old you are, what your experience might be. I'm kind of enjoying the idea of like hitching cars on a train. I don't know. I guess trains still operate. Yeah. So people might get that analogy.
Not in this country. We're having a general strike. But carry on.
Okay. In the old days, you'd hitch a bunch of trains together and you'd all head in the same direction. But I just feel like, okay, we got Steve's theme park. If you want to hitch onto it, come on board. You know, you got a song, you want to kind of let me mess with it a little bit, or maybe even Peter Cook in the UK will mess with it a little bit because he's a member of Steve's Theme Park, and we'll all just hook up on this train and kind of help each other out. So that's the greatest joy. I feel you could be part of the theme park if somehow you're connected with one of the members of the theme park. You could have recorded the whole song yourself in your house, but maybe you're going to have Tommy Frenzy sing some harmony on it for you.
So the next question is, will there be a second theme park then?
Yeah, I'm not certain if a whole album all at once would be the way to go, but I certainly see singles like Not Ever Ending.
Mhm.
You know, like there'll just be a new single, Steve's Theme Park, another single. And this is what I mean by, you know, hitching on a train. Another single will hitch on, and we'll just try to keep this party going.
So
Yeah.
what's the best way to get hold of the album? I know you have physical copies, but tell us more.
Yeah, I think the best way is clearly through Spotify, which is pretty much brand new to me. I mean, I've been involved now with Spotify. Streaming was foreign to me. So okay, maybe you could stream. Maybe you're more comfortable streaming on iTunes or Pandora. However, it appears, contrary to what some people might think or feel about Spotify, that seems to be the place. I'm not here to make money for myself. Sorry, Peter, I'm not here to create an income stream for you either. I'm just trying to get the word out, and Spotify is a good place to do it. So Spotify, Steve's Theme Park, and go there. You click a button that says following. That sort of helps, build things up a tiny bit. And that's where you'll find all the music. I realize I kind of quiz people. Yes, most people have a Spotify account.
Yeah, so following, liking and sharing, all the things to do. And although, we are of a senior age, there is no 78 RPM version, is there?
No, I've thought about doing even a 45 of something, or like, just for fun, but that's got to be in the works. We got to have a piece of vinyl out there, I think, just for kicks. Maybe for next record store day in 2023, we'll have a single or a four track vinyl EP at 33 1/3. We'll do something.
So I'll put all the links in the YouTube video, but just help us out now and tell us where they can find you online, with the internet, in other words.
Yeah, okay. I was forgetting the obvious, but I wasn't certain if people still went to websites. But yeah, we have a really nice stevesthemepark.com.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice website put together by one of the theme park members, Rob Barth. And he did a real sweet job. So that everything you need to know is there. I think there's even a picture of Peter Cook in there somewhere too. Okay. And so, yeah, that's the good place to start. Mm-hmm. And that will also send you off to social media, Instagram and all that, and Facebook and all that fun stuff. And if you really want a hard copy, and it's sizzling hot, so I have to have, if you want a hard copy through the website, you just send me a note and say, Steve, here's my address. I want a copy. Actually, I want two. I want one for my grandmother too. And I'll send it to you free of charge. Because Peter, if you do remember when we started this way back 2+ years ago, I said, I can't pay you anything, but I'll give you as many CDs as you want, because I'm going to print out 1,000 CDs, 2,000 CDs if I have to. So they're free to anybody who wants one. And there's no strings attached, no postage. I don't need your next born child, nothing. It's absolutely just give me your address and you'll get it.
Okay, perfect. Steve, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I look forward to a second theme park, even though you haven't said you'll do it. But I think there could be, this is a network-based organisation like Live Aid, but except no one's ever met each other. So who knows where the connections go. Steve, thank you so much.
Yeah, good night, Peter.
all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of rock and roll. I don't care about the fashion. T-shirts will do. Don't give me grief about my sneakers. I need comfortable shoes. The reason I say it, you really ought to know. It's all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of rock and roll. It's all for the love of the love. Yo, Joe, this rock and roll got me thinking that I'm too damn old. The candle burning at both ends, behind the wheel at 2 a.m. Flying down the interstate, drinking Mountain Dew to stay awake. Hey, don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. And there's times that I wonder how I keep from going under. Sometimes I gotta wonder how I keep from going under. But still I'm making it, must be because it's all for the love of rock